Might have to try a few things before it sticks,
Yeah.
but keep that in mind as you're building. Because I do think like there's no way we could have grown as fast as we did without.
Hello, hello. This is the Marketing for Accounting Firms podcast. I'm your host, Matt Banker. I do marketing for accounting firms. And today I am talking to Ben Coons, who is a firm owner, and he is going to tell us about his journey and how he got to the point that he is at now. Ben, welcome. Thanks for being on the show.
Thanks for having me, Matt.
All right, first question here. In retrospect, looking back on your firm, what was the most important decision that you made that you feel like contributes to the success that you have now with your firm?
Sure. It was the decision to go all in on our target market, our niche, which is the short-term rental property manager and investor. So we started out kind of a lot more general. And once we decided to go all in there, really started to see a lot more growth, a lot more specialization with our team. It kind of took off from there.
Yeah, I mean, I'm a huge believer in the niche or the niche direction. We went through a similar process ourselves as a marketing company. We were more generalists and then became niche. Talk me through that journey. When did you start your firm? Did you start from scratch? Did you buy? Were you working elsewhere? Tell me a little bit about your personal story. And then up till that point when you decided, yeah, we want to go all in on this particular niche.
Yeah. So I started out by buying a small book of business. We closed in May 2021. So I was at a reseller of data technology and networking that wasn't super fulfilling for, different career paths, something that could get us back to having a little more time freedom, ability to travel. So I figured bookkeeping was a good start since I had accounting and finance background, although I've never worked at an accounting firm. So sent out, what did I send? Postcards. So I used like a company that could like handwrite postcards, and I used Google Maps and just started looking for bookkeepers in my area and just kept slowly expanding the search, created a database and just started sending them out. Got a few like conversations, and then we found someone who their husband had just gotten a Liberty Mutual buyout and she was looking to retire with it. So it worked out great. She was local to me. 17 clients when I purchased it. So that's how we started.
Yeah. And were you just searching locally or were you looking more broadly and it just happened that this was convenient?
I was just searching locally at the time, and it worked out well because I actually met probably half the clients in person. So that helped like establish that trust. There was one client who didn't transfer, but everyone else transferred with us.
Yeah. And so you bought a book of business, but it was just you right there at the start.
Partner.
You had a partner?
Who I bought out like 3 months into the journey. He ended up buying a couple laundromats, and he wasn't like he just wanted to do something.
Yeah.
Wasn't like super into the bookkeeping idea. And then when he found the laundromats, we kind of split ways, and no hard feelings, but then it just became mine.
So you did kind of a career shift, right? You bought this bookkeeping business and wanted to go that direction. Who was influencing you? Like, who were you listening to? Influencers or books or things? Like, why did you decide to go this direction? And who's kind of been your guide?
Yeah, I would say I was more, not so much in the accounting realm, but more in the kind of ETA world. Like I read, was it Buy Not Build or that book. We almost bought a laundromat. We had that under agreement, but we couldn't come to an agreement with the landlord on a new lease. So we ended up my wife decided not to do that. I was big into like bigger pockets. We own like a small real estate portfolio. My wife own and manage. So it was really just looking to buy any type of business. And it just so happened that like I figured this kind of fit more with my background coming from like the corporate finance world.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. So then what was the journey from kind of that start solo bookkeeping business to where you are now, and what brought you to the point where you decided to go all in on the real estate niche?
Yeah, so I went all in 2 different ways. I kept my full-time job up until August 2023. I actually transitioned jobs in there because my previous job asked me back as the CFO. So I went back to there for a while and then quit and went full-time about 2 years ago with Keystone. The first year, 2021, really just kind of learning the ropes, out what we were doing. I probably changed every single technology that we used 2 or 3 times during that
Mm-hmm.
process. We had, one contractor that came with the business who was actually the seller's mom. She stayed on through the end of the year just to kind of help us transition. And then
Mm-hmm.
we started offshoring. So we had hired, I think, 1 or 2 people in the Philippines through like a BPO company.
Mm-hmm. And so is that your team now? It's you plus the Philippines?
We've got a large team in the Philippines. We've got a small but growing team in South Africa. And then we've got a couple people in the United States as well.
How does that break down just in terms of the team mix? Are these mostly bookkeepers, or do you in a lot of tax work as well?
Tax,
Okay.
any income tax yet
Mm-hmm.
coming next year. A sneak peek. Breakdown is a lot of bookkeepers
Mm-hmm.
in the Philippines. We have client leads that we call them, which would be account managers that are
Mm-hmm.
managing the bookkeepers, working directly with the clients. They are in the Philippines as well. We've got a team of admin in the Philippines. We've got an HR manager. We have a full-time recruiter. We have internal bookkeeper. We've got a sales rep in South Africa, our onboarding leads in South Africa as well.
Mm-hmm.
And then our kind of more senior accounting managers are in the US.
Okay.
Most senior roles in the US, otherwise, everywhere else is, and mostly in the Philippines, but a couple kind of those customer facing like sales and
Mm-hmm.
onboarding roles are in South Africa.
Okay. So I'm curious. This is one of my own pet theories, ideas. Is traditionally, like in most accounting firms, the point of contact, the most important client contact, is also often like the subject matter expert, right? It's
Yeah.
the accounting or tax manager. And it sounds like you've got senior managers in the US, but then you also mentioned that you have like an account manager person. How does that work? And is that something that you kind of have invented just out of necessity, or something that you're seeing other people
Yeah.
do as
So
well?
our first point of contact for the client is their account manager in the Philippines. So
Mm-hmm.
that's who they deal with on a day-to-day, week-to-week basis. The senior accounting managers really only get involved if there's like issue escalations,
Mm-hmm.
more for like client relations. They'll also fill in like if that account manager is
Sure.
out and things like that, handle renewals and pricing and again, some of those higher level kind of things. But on a like normal month to month basis, the clients are interacting almost primarily with offshore team members.
Mm-hmm. And you found that to be a pretty beneficial way to work. I guess in my mind, it seems like one of the missing pieces often is that really consistent communication and like relationship management. And that's hard for a lot of firms because their senior people are sort of tasked with that and they have so many other things. So, I mean, I love the idea, but
Yeah,
I'm assuming it works pretty well for you.
it does. This kind of is a little bit unique to our industry
Mm-hmm.
niche as well. What we've found is that pretty much all of our clients have offshore teammates already. So
Mm-hmm.
because they're short-term rental property managers, they typically have VAs that are
Yep.
handling guest communications 24/7.
Mm-hmm.
Typically have them managing like their cleaning crews and maintenance and things like that. Sometimes financial matters as well. So it's not unusual for them to work with someone in the Philippines as is.
Mm-hmm.
We don't really get a lot of like pushback or really anything like that because oftentimes our offshore team can just work with their offshore team and it's great.
Yeah.
And it just goes very smoothly then.
Yeah. So now talk me through the decision. How early did you know that you wanted to really focus on this niche?
Yeah.
And then what did that process, what were the first steps, and how did you make that transition over time?
Yeah. So we got introduced to our first client in this industry in like November 2021, right at the end of our first year. It was a CPA owner who we had a mutual client with, and he reached out like, "Hey, I've got this other client needs a bookkeeper," kind of deal. And they told me a little bit about it, and I thought like, "How hard can this be?" It just
Mm-hmm.
sounds easy enough. Turns out it's incredibly difficult. Any of the technology set up, and just for a little bit of background, like short-term rental property manager means they are taking in money from Airbnb, from Verbo, from Booking.com
Mm-hmm.
for any number of listings. It all
Right.
goes into one account, and then you need to split it up by property. Also,
Mm-hmm.
every dollar needs to get tracked and split by property because usually they're spending money on behalf of their owner. So
Sure.
every Amazon order might get split between 4 properties and things like that.
Mm-hmm.
So tracking that was difficult. We created Excel spreadsheets to do owner statements. It was a challenge. We did a good enough job. I hope that I had known this person outside of business as well. We actually played basketball together for a season or two. But it went well enough that he started introducing us to other people in the industry. It turns out he was part of a mastermind group, is now like head of their coaching, but at the time was just one of the students, and started introducing us to other students who are also short-term rental property managers. And so that's kind of how we started down this road, is like, one or two kind of intros, and then we would kind of duplicate our Excel template for their business and do that.
So you had this one client, turns out it was a ton of work. And then you thought, well, if we've already done all this work once, let's leverage that, duplicate it, and we can do it again. And build up this experience.
Yeah, I don't really have a sales background, so I wasn't like swimming in new clients. We were mostly getting it from referrals, and this started to become like a lot more consistent referral and slowly easier to talk about in the sales process, rather than like, all right, you have you're a hairdresser, like we don't have any of these clients. Like, what are your challenges? You're a restaurant, like we've never used Toast before, but we'll figure it out. And we did a bunch of those, obviously, along the way. But it's like, oh, you use Guesty too. Great. Your money from Airbnb. Great. We know how to do that.
Yeah. So was there a tipping point when you realized, like, actually, now we're a short-term rental, bookkeeping firm?
Yeah, I'd say the first kind of tipping point was getting our software stack, our tech stack, a little bit more dialed in. So we tried a few different companies that are in this space. And then in October of 2022, we linked up with VR Platform, which just it specializes in the short-term rental industry. They can do owner statements. They link into Airbnb and to Stripe and all that, and kind of automate the revenue side of things. Once we hit that and kind of built out our systems and processes there and got all of our clients on board with it and got buy-in and feedback from them, then I realized, like, okay, this is now scalable, where we weren't building a custom Excel workbook for every client and things like that. Like, all right, now we set them up with the software, and now we need to build our processes around the software.
And as you've kind of gotten into this niche, are you really just working with clients, as they need bookkeepers, or are you getting into more of the, like, either coaching or consulting? Or are you speaking? Are you part of masterminds? Where's I'm kind of interested, where's this expertise that you've been developing now being channeled out?
Yeah, I do some Q&As thing that we do. So with some of the mastermind groups that we work with, I will show up and it'll be like a 45-minute or an hour kind of me talking, but mostly Q&A on accounting and bookkeeping kind of stuff. But a lot of it's just come from like helping our clients solve challenges and deal with issues, and just kind of learning along the way. And it's like, oh, our client's got an issue with this. We actually saw another client solve this issue, so we can just do the same thing for that client.
So in just kind of like broad terms, what was the year-over-year growth? Because you said 2021 was when you started. So we're talking in 2025 now, 4 or 5 years into it. How many clients and team members did you add sort of each year to get to where you're at now?
Yeah, I mean, right now we're about 180 clients in total. Say like 90 to 95% of our revenue is short-term rental related. Like, we still have a small group of non-short-term rental, and honestly, some of the short-term rental will bring along group. And then we're about 65 employees, which is very high for our like revenue and client count. Part of the challenges with this industry, we basically close all the books for our clients in the 5 business days.
Okay.
Which means we have a very low client to bookkeeper ratio. One of the reasons we're offshore. So each bookkeeper handles like 6 clients because again, because we do owner statements, we're really like embedded within our clients, rather than, again, typical bookkeeping is the client runs their business after the fact, send them the financials and answer any questions. We are like in the middle of their process, so they can't move forward and pay their owners until the owner statements are done by our team.
Yeah. That's interesting. So one of the things we often talk about is that there's a big difference between a niche and a favorite market, right? Like a favorite market is the classic one with accounting firms is we love dentists.
Yeah.
It's because they like They need our services. They're professional, in their way. So they tend to be good clients and we can charge a lot. That's why, everybody likes dentists, but that's not really a niche. That's just, we like these types of clients because they're good for us.
Right.
The question is like, all right, how do you build in the processes and the systems so that we're the right fit for them? It goes the other direction. And it sounds like I can imagine so many firm owners thinking like closing books by the 5th, like that's insane. Like we would never take on clients, that need that level of service. But if that's what your clients need, you build out a team and a system that can do that. Now you are super well positioned to be the perfect fit for them, which I imagine is one of the reasons and ways that you're able to grow through word of mouth and other things like that. Are there any specific other niche specific things that you've learned or developed that have really set you apart as like, now we know that we're a great fit for our ideal clients, not just that we want more of these types?
Yeah. So one of the things that we do a really good job with our onboarding process. We have a whole team dedicated to that. And because of where we get a lot of our clients, we are getting a lot of newer entrants into this market. So we work with a franchise group and we get a lot of newer franchisees. We work with mastermind groups and get a lot of people new to managing other people's monies. So that is one of our strong suits, is kind of helping them set up their systems and processes so that they can scale. Sometimes it's talking them out of customizing for every single client because you can't do that at 30 listings.
Yep.
We certainly work with larger property management clients too, but we do get a lot of those smaller clients, which, they grow and then our revenue grows with them, which is also nice because we have a variable billing. So we bill by the listing so that every month, like if they're growing, we're growing with them.
Yeah. Is there anything you would do differently? Like if you were to start over today, knowing what you know now?
I mean, I would have picked the right softwares sooner. Wasted a lot of time with some of those software programs that didn't have what we needed. I mean, I'm happy with where we are, to be honest. And some of the things that we do now, I don't think we could have done if we took them all on at once. Like now we file vacation taxes because every city, every county charges occupancy or vacation taxes, and Airbnb remits them. But if you have direct booking or Vrbo, they don't. But I don't think we would have been ready for that, 2 years ago. We're still kind of dialing processes for the core product.
Yeah. Do you feel like the process of being a generalist and then discovering your niche was important, or do you think you could have just like jumped right into this?
The thing is, like from a cash flow perspective, it was helpful. But since I had another job, I didn't really need, we weren't using Keystone to survive. So, having that like base of clients to start with was definitely helpful because we got some referrals off of it. Like, I don't know if I would have found this short-term rental property manager without our initial base.
Yeah.
So there's that. And also like, I wasn't really an accountant or a bookkeeper kind of coming into this. So it kind of helped me like develop some of those like habits and strategies before we kind of got into our ideal client.
Do you feel like you've fully embraced the identity of being an accountant at this point? Or
hopefully I'm more of a firm
that?
owner at this point, but I have certainly run the gamut of accountant and account manager and done every single role that we've built out.
Well, this is great. Here's what we're going to do. We're going to take a quick break here, and then we're going to come back and talk about tech stack and marketing tactics that are working for you. This podcast is brought to you in part by Works. Here's the thing. Clients don't love having a hodgepodge of a bunch of different advisors. Really, they would love it if they could get the advice that they need from one trusted source, and that source could be you. Offering payroll through Works allows you to become more of that advisor. Whether you're referring your clients or you're building a payroll practice of your own, Works will deliver the back office strength and support that your clients expect, and you can stay as the hero and trusted advisor in their story. Learn more about how to partner with Works at works.com. That's WHIRKS.com. This podcast is brought to you in part by TeamUp. TeamUp helps hire directly for accounting firms in the Philippines. What is Hire Direct? Hire Direct means that you have a direct relationship with your team. There's no middleman. That person is part of their team just like anyone else. They follow your processes, they share your values, and they're part of your culture. Just like hiring someone remotely, but locally to you, it's the same thing. You're just hiring in another country. They join your team meetings and they are fully integrated with your team, same as anybody else. It's really easy. You can find out more information at hireteamup.com. Again, that is hireteamup.com. I'm back with Ben Coons. Let's talk about some specifics. So you mentioned earlier that choosing the right technology was really important for you and your firm. Tell us about what is your tech stack right now? What do you use? Or you don't have to go through everything, but what are the most important pieces of technology that you're using? And then, if you've got any spicy takes or strong opinions on why you like what you like, this is a great opportunity to share those.
Okay. So our primary tech stack, we'll start with kind of the more accounting specific ones, because those are probably a little more relatable.
Yep.
So our security and kind of everyone's day starts with Practice Protect. So that's where everyone logs in, passwords. Carbon is our practice manager. That's where all of our tasks live. We bill with Ignition. And then QuickBooks Online is our general ledger for all of our clients. A few other tools on top of that we use quite a bit. I've looked at some other competitors and they just didn't have quite everything we needed. We use for receipt ingestion, we use a kind of a unique one. It's called Dokka, Dokka. It's typically not super familiar, more like a TubDoc kind of competitor.
Yeah.
We use Zenit for our reviews, which everyone uses Keeper now, but we've just been with Zenit, so that's what we're on still. Slack, Notion, Teams, kind of all those kind of generic ones.
Where are you doing most of your communication with your offshore team?
Offshore is pretty much in Carbon or Slack. Carbon, all of our workflows live in there, so most things are a comment within Carbon, message within Slack.
Yeah.
Then some
as you've kind of developed this tech stack, is there anything in there that you feel like you've just been blown away by, or that you think is really great and is like a key piece, like super fan, basically?
Yeah, trying to do what we do without Carbon, I think, would be tough. It really keeps everything organized because we have, we have our HR process in there. We have our new employee onboarding, the vacation tax thing. So it's not just like things that are specifically bookkeeping related and general ledger related. The triage is huge for us and kind of being able to tag everyone in there. That's our third MS I think we're on by now. Yeah, so that one's been really great.
You doing anything interesting with any AI tools or kind of these newer tools that are at least integrated with AI in different ways?
Yeah, I mean, I use ChatGPT, the Teams version, quite a bit. Been trying to have them analyze financial statements, cost accounting, to be honest.
Yeah.
This is a little more niche specific, but Top Key is one of our partners. They are like a spend management. They're basically like a ramp for short-term rentals. They have the credit cards, they have a Bay feature, they have AI. They're rolling that out, which has been really helpful, especially the connections with Amazon and being able to kind of pull out that details and then the auto suggestions, things like that. The problem is though with us, since every transaction, like we can't just look at an Amazon receipt and put it to supplies. I could go to, if we've got a client with 170 listings, we've got a 1 in 170 chance of getting it right.
Yeah. So it
becomes a little more challenging there.
Do you end up integrating it all with softwares and technology on the client side? You mentioned a couple that they use pretty regularly. What does that look like?
So they actually have PMS as well, property management system. So we use VR Platform, which is our hub for all short-term rental specific things. Our owner statements are created. That'll connect into their PMS, to Airbnb, to Stripe, and kind of bring all the revenue for short-term rentals into one place, and then integrate with QuickBooks to get it all on the feed in general ledger.
I'm going to make a brief marketing comment for anyone who's listening. If you are in a niche, just the fact that you know the softwares that they use, you should be mentioning those on the website. I know for folks that work with lawyers, Clio is a big one. If you're working with contractors, you've got your Service Titan. When you know the stuff that they use, even if it's just putting it on your website or mentioning it in a sales call, that can go a long way to closing deals just because you're building up that little bit of trust. Every single industry and niche has these specific things that they're using. I know that's been a thing that I've learned as we've gotten further into our niche is making friends with the software partners that serving that industry is also a really great way to build your reputation and to get leads. Do you have any specific partnerships
I was
with
going to say, I
software?
could take that one step further.
Yeah.
So we're on with one of the, we have, it varies depending on the PMS. But Guesty has a marketplace and we are listed as a accounting provider. So if you're on Guesty's marketplace and you're searching for, accounting firms, bookkeeping firms, will show up as like a Guesty approved vendor, which is great. We get a lot of leads coming in from there. We're kind of limited with some of the other systems because we're not actually a technology stack. So
Right.
sometimes they limit their marketplace to like an API integration. So we've got a couple relationships with others where they know our name and they will recommend us, like if people ask. So that's led to some leads as well. There's one out there who shall not be named that won't let us onto their marketplace unless we give them 20%. All of our business with that, even the ones we got before we were working with them. So
yeah, there's challenges with it. You got to navigate the politics and the other things as well. Well, let's use this as an opportunity, I guess, to kind of pivot to more like lead generation and marketing and all of that. As you've grown, how has it changed? How has the way that you find leads changed? And are there any particular things now that are your biggest drivers and most important lead sources?
Yeah, originally it was all referrals, word of mouth, and that's still a big driver of our process. But connecting with those mastermind groups has been very big for us. So offering to do, because mastermind groups they want content because they charge for courses and they need to provide a lot of value to their students. So I've done recorded videos that are in like a mastermind group. So like basically people are paying to watch me. I like to think of it. But it's talking about things that are going to help them about the bookkeeping and the accounting. I've got one coming up next week where I just show up for 45 minutes to an hour, talk a little bit, but then mostly just answer questions from people. So that has been a big driver. Our technology partners, not so much, the ones our client use a little bit, but also the ones we use have been really great. So VR Platform and Top Key have been really great because they want to refer people to us because they know clients stay with us. And if people work with us, then we're going to use their software. So it's a mutually beneficial relationship there. We've got actually a franchise partner that we work with their franchisees. We'll do some training with them. We'll do, some Q&As and things like that. Those are kind of big lead generation points right now. The other one is Facebook groups. Real estate investors in general love Facebook groups. So I'm in a few of those and we'll just like answer questions on anything like accounting or bookkeeping related, or just kind of weigh in. When people ask for recommendations, usually some of our clients will tag us and then I can jump in and kind of take the conversation over from there.
Yeah, one of the things we often talk about in terms of there's like steps that you take usually. So we'll tell firms you need to have really good positioning and messaging, right? So you need to know who you are and who your audience is and how to speak to them. You need to have a plan of action, your strategy. So for you, this is going to be, we want to be in Facebook groups. We want to be answering questions for masterminds. We want to be connected with software partners. This is where we're going to spend our energy to develop these. And then you generally need a good website or brand, a landing page that people can kind of interact with you. And then the fourth area, and for a lot of firms, this is as far as they need to go, is just you need to be present and findable in the right places. And so, Google search is one of the big right places. But the other thing we talk about a lot is dark social, which is when people know your name. We call it dark social because it sounds cool. Like obviously that like dark social. What it really means though is it's like we're in the dark. We don't know is our name being mentioned in like private forums or in conversations, in Slack channels. Are software partners like sending emails to their clients? These are all the things. We don't have analytics on all this stuff. But even though you can't track the lead flow as easily, one of the most effective ways these days to get really good leads is actually through these sort of non-traditional channels, Facebook groups, Reddit threads, private discords, masterminds, all of this works better. SEO, Google ads, even like organic social media, a lot of times is a lot more work for a lot less return than when you can develop these relationship focused connections. The other thing is those aren't available to you if you don't have a specialization, right? Like if you were just to try to join random business groups on Facebook, they're not going to be as engaged as these short-term rental real estate investment groups. And when you get in there, if you know a little bit about their world and can talk about it, it's going to give you so much more credibility. Whereas if you come in as a generalist with just kind of simplistic tax strategy or business best practices, people aren't going to really care what you have to say. It's this reinforcing cycle of you focus on a niche, you learn about the niche, that gives you credibility within it, which gives you more insights so that you can provide more value and all that. But it sounds like it's all working really well for you right now.
Yeah, I mean, it has
Yeah.
been. We have not invested a lot in like SEO. We
Yeah.
did, we revamped our website. That was one of the decisions we made, kind of street specific.
Nice.
One we're sponsoring, one I'm just going, but I'm also doing like a little speaking thing kind of on the floor with another partner. So this will be the first year I've gone to a conference as a business owner, but I know that accounting is typically likes to go to accounting conferences.
Yeah.
I would rather spend my time and money going to industry ones where we can generate revenue.
Hey, you need different conferences for different reasons, for sure. Continuing education for yourself. But yeah, I agree. I think one of the mistakes that a lot of people do is well, let's put it this way. If you spend all your time talking to accountants and talking about accounting on social media, other accountants are going to follow you, and that's going to be the conversation. The real shift for most businesses, right? So you're a firm that is a business, when you can make that leap to where a big part of your community and your connections are not people who do the same thing as you, but it's the people that are in your industry and niche. And so finding your way to those conferences and those groups and developing those connections on social media is really the big key here. As we kind of wrap up, if you were just giving advice to someone who is starting out on their accounting firm ownership journey at this point, what are the most important resources and pieces of advice that you'd give them?
Yeah. I would say one is join, one or two communities. There are a lot out there, maybe better than others for just starting out firms, but having people you can bounce ideas off, learn about tech stack. I was not in an accounting community for the first couple of years, and I definitely would not have chosen some of the tech stack that I did and wasted some of the time if I was in those kind of communities. Second is, I know it's really hard to just like pick a niche from the bat, but start thinking about it. Even if it is like creating like a random landing page for construction workers or, the trades or restaurants or veterinarian clinics or whatever you're going for, but just having that like landing page that you can to. Once you get a little bit of momentum in the industry, like it will start to snowball because they know other people in that industry. And if you do a good job for them, they'd love to refer you. So you might have to try a few things before it sticks, but keep that in mind as you're building. Because I do think like there's no way we could have grown as fast as we did without if that's your goal.
Yeah. No, I think that's great advice. I think you're right. A huge challenge for firm owners is, how do I choose what I'm going to focus on? So as you're starting out, maybe you pick a couple paths to focus. You've got a couple clients that are good in areas, invest a little more energy into those. But once you start to pick up momentum in one direction, double down on that, and it gets so much easier. That snowball builds so much quicker. So I don't know if this is exactly what you've done, but I think the way I would frame it is, if you've got 3 or 4 industries where you have good clients at first, don't be afraid once you get a year or two into it, identify one as a really good niche to kind of cut the other ones out a bit and focus your energy in one direction. You get a lot of that growth opportunity. It's hard to cultivate 4 different niches at the same time.
And one thing we didn't talk about was staff training, but it really helped our staff training and onboarding to be like, this is what you're going to do. This is what you're going to focus on. This is a standard client. This is our standard chart of accounts. This is our tech stack. You're going to do the same process for these 6 clients every week, every month. And that has been like, we hire 3 to 4 people a month. So being able to onboard them that quick. Again, I know that's not everyone's goal, but even if it's one person here or there, it is just a lot easier. And the other thing is, don't be afraid to ask your clients, like where they get their news, where they hang out, a deal. Like for us now, we know like but I'll ask them like, hey, if I were to go to one conference, like which one would it be?
Yeah.
That's why I'm going to the one in October, because everyone's like, this is the one. So I'm going to the one.
Yeah. Well, so speaking of goals, what are your goals? Are you building to, you want to be, I don't know, 300 people, top 100 firm? You want to sell? Where do you see your career going eventually?
I like building. So I like growth. I like building. So that is our goal for now. I don't know if I have an end goal about selling or whatnot, but I know I want to keep growing. I think we'll grow about 60% this year. Can't keep that up forever. The law of large, but
That's quite a sprint. Yeah.
yeah, but we're going to be adding, we're adding income tax next year to be kind of a firm, kind of more full service. I like the idea of growth because it helps retain talent, the people who want to get promoted. Now there's new roles, there's new responsibilities. We can hire more like top level people, either the US or outside the US. And those are the kind of people like I want to work with and I want to hire. So growth is our goal for now, and kind of see where it takes us.
Where can people find you online?
Yeah, so I'm on Twitter, Bookkeeper. I'm on LinkedIn at my name. Otherwise, our website is keystonebookkeepers.com, and I am very available and very responsive.
Yeah. Is there anything that you want to promote or mention for your firm?
I mean, if you're a short-term rental property manager listening to this, look us up. But the other thing is, we didn't talk about this at all, but we do have a small recruiting firm. It's called Bookkeepers Without Borders. So because of our success offshore, we've helped a lot of firms and bookkeeping firms hire offshore. It's a one-time recruiting fee, and we'll help you find and place an offshore person, usually in the Philippines, but we can help in other countries as well. So happy to help with that too.
I'll like double plug too. If you're an accounting firm owner and you've got some really challenging and difficult short-term rental property people,
there we go.
Like this is another thing that I love about having a niche is that you can find other people who do things better than you, and you can have a good like referral back and forth. So talk to Ben, send him your clients if you're ready to let go of the non-ideal clients, so you can focus on your niche. Now you know someone who you can trust with that. Ben, this is great. Thank you for being on the show. We'll link all your socials and things in the show notes. And for the rest of you who are listening, this is again the Marketing for Accounting Firms podcast. If you have questions about your own marketing or need to figure out how to make marketing work for you in the first place, we have a mastermind group. We call it the Marketing Incubator, and you can find information about it at our website, marketingforaccountingfirms.com. It's pretty straightforward. I think you probably will know our niche. And with that, I think we're going to leave it there. Thanks again, Ben.
Thanks a lot, Matt.
This podcast is brought to you in part by TeamUp. TeamUp is a recruiting firm that helps you hire direct in the Philippines. But how do you hire in the Philippines? Do you need to understand Philippine employment law? There really are two main options. You can hire a contractor where you pay them directly and they handle their own tax and compliance. Or you can work with an employee of record, or it's similar to a PEO. They handle the payroll and compliance. They pay the employee, you pay them, but they aren't involved in any of the day-to-day work or management of your employee. TeamUp is not an employment of record, but they can refer you to one if you want. Either way, the day-to-day experience is the same. So if you've been considering hiring in the Philippines, but you're worried about everything being above board from an employment and compliance standpoint, TeamUp can help guide you through that process. You can learn more at hireteamup.com. Again, that is hireteamup.com. This podcast is brought to you in part by Works. Now, not every firm is going to build their firm the same way. Everybody has a different idea of what they want, the goals that they have. And if you're growing and you want to expand your service line, that might include payroll. But there are different ways to do payroll. The nice thing about Works is that it gives you options. If you want a trusted partner that you can refer clients to, Works has a great option for that. They call it the Referral Partner Program. If you want to build a payroll practice within your firm where you're the one offering payroll to your clients, Works can do that as well. They have a network partner program that gives you the back office support you need to offer payroll to your clients. Either way, Works puts you in control of the way that you want to grow, and you have a trusted partner who's got your back the whole time. You can learn more about both of those programs at works.com. That's WHIRKS.com. Thanks for listening to this episode of the Marketing for Accounting Firms podcast. If you liked this conversation and found it valuable, please rate and review us on Apple Podcasts or Spotify. It's really good for the algorithm and it helps other firm owners find this show. You can subscribe to our weekly Marketing for Accounting Firms newsletter at marketingforaccountingfirms.com. And you can connect with me, Matt Banker, on LinkedIn or Twitter. We hope you tune in next time for another episode of Marketing for Accounting Firms.